Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to take you along as I do a little bit of gardening. I'll share with you one of my favorite new drinks this summer, more blackberries, and then a huckleberry harvest that we're enjoying and how I'm preserving and preparing that. We have so many beautiful blooms in the garden right now. In this bed, I have a whole bunch of snapdragons and some cosmos and other flowers that are just beautiful, cut in a vase. They hang beautifully, and they also reseed themselves as the flowers age and dry a little bit. Their seeds fall out and replant themselves. So these will be in this box next year too. I'm super excited. I love them. So I'm adding these to my vase today with, of course, the zinnias. I just picked out some pink and purple zinnias, and then some gladiolas. My gladiolas, if you've been following along, have been blooming for quite a while. They are at the end of their blooms, and so I am just grabbing the last few of these to enjoy in the house. I love gladiolas because they grow a really tall stalk and it blooms all the way up that stalk, starting at the bottom of the stalk. So if you let your gladiolas just stay in your garden, which I've done, I've just been enjoying them in the garden. I've had a couple bouquets, but I've really enjoyed them in the garden. But I've just let them keep blooming, and you can pull off the dead blooms down low on the stalk, and then at the top of the stalk you still have a whole bunch of beautiful blooms. After your gladiolas bloom, you're supposed to cut the stalks off so that the bulb can still grow. And then in my climate, I will dig up these bulbs before a frost and then store them inside my garage for next year. But they really add height and beauty to any bouquet and any garden box. Okay, so this is a Central and South American favorite, yerba mate. I have had this since I was a young girl. My uncle served a mission in Argentina, then my son went to Mexico, and everyone comes back with yerba mate. And so I have had this for a while, but I haven't found it in tea bags. So I finally found it in tea bags. I'm sweetening it with a little bit of stevia and pouring it over ice. And it is a delicious sweet iced tea that just cools you off during the summer. If you haven't tried it, I do highly recommend it. It's really good for you and full of a whole bunch of good stuff and gives you a little bit of energy too. I'm still harvesting blackberries. We're picking them again today and freezing them. I like to put them in the deep freezer on the tray uncovered, and then I just take this washcloth that I put them under and fold it up, and that loosens the frozen berries, and then I can pour them into a gallon size Ziploc bag. And I love this because all throughout the year you can continue to make freezer jam if you want more freezer jam, but you can also use these in smoothies. You can make blackberry cobblers, blackberry pies, and blackberry pancakes, but anything that you can dream up. I am also experimenting with a blackberry sourdough loaf, so I'm super excited to load my freezer up with all these delicious blackberries. I am double bagging this just so that it helps protect them in the freezer from any freezer burn. When I was at the farm supply store, I found these worm castings extract. They were on clearance because it's the season is running out. And so I am going to add these to my flower baskets, my hanging baskets, because they are just struggling a little bit. We've gone out of town a few times and put them in the garden where they could get water, but they just seem to be struggling. So I am going to add these and do a little experiment here with these worm castings extract, and it just kind of is a gentle, natural fertilizer. And just spoiler alert, it really does perk up your flower baskets. So I will also be adding this to some of my trees that I'll be working on later on. We finally made it over to Purdham's Farmers Market, which is a generational, I don't even know how many years they've been in business here in Fruitland, but for a very long time. And they sell these beautiful wildflowers or sunflower bouquets. So I did pick up one of those. So I do have a few different bouquets in my house right now, and I just really love them. I'm just enjoying the season and enjoying what we have available to us right now. But I'm super excited because this last week we went hiking up in McCall, and on those hikes we always pick we always pick huckleberries. There's a really nice hike called Goose Creek Falls, and along that hike and in that area there's a ton of huckleberries. And so when our family goes hiking, we pick huckleberries, but we can never pick this many huckleberries because we're eating them as we go. So I was so excited when I found at the farmer's market huckleberries for sale. Huckleberries are like a blueberry, but they're a lot smaller and they're loaded with a lot more flavor than blueberries. Very tart, but still sweet and just so delicious. The bears love them. And Idaho is kind of famous for huckleberries. If you go to any souvenir shops or any of the little shops, they usually have huckleberry syrup or something like that for sale. But I am making a huckleberry cobbler. So this is a $1 million cobbler, once a year cobbler. And I am also going to make some huckleberry freezer jam. Of course, I will link these recipes below in the description if you'd like to print them off, but this cobbler is super easy. It is 4 to 5 cups of berries in the bottom of an 8x8 pan. I am using a different size pan, but it's about 8x8. And then you do a cup of flour, 3/4 cup of sugar, a cup of milk, 1/4 cup of melted butter, and then you're going to do a teaspoon of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then you just whisk that up till it's smooth and pour it over your berries and bake it at 350 degrees, actually 375 degrees, until it is a little bit golden on top and bubbly around the edges. So it takes about an hour to bake. But if you want to really indulge and enjoy your huckleberries, this huckleberry cobbler is absolutely divine, especially with a nice scoop of vanilla ice cream on top. After I get this cobbler into the oven, I am going to start on the huckleberry freezer jam. This freezer jam is super easy. You can make it with any type of berry and you can adjust it. You can make it sugar-free if you want to use a sugar substitute like your erythritol. But there's just 4 ingredients. So it's your sweetener. Today I'm using sugar, Easy Gel or Ultra Gel, which is a modified food starch thickener. I am using 4 cups of huckleberries or any other berry that you want to use, but today I'm using 4 cups of huckleberries and a 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of a cup of Easy Gel thickener, and 1/3 cup of lemon juice concentrate. You can use fresh lemon juice too, but lemon juice concentrate is just what I already have on hand. And that is it. It's just super easy. It's mostly huckleberries or whatever berry you're using with a little bit of sugar, unlike traditional jams, which have a ton of sugar. This is 4 cups of berries to only a 1/2 cup of sugar. So it's a lot more berries than it is sugar, making it way healthier and way fresher than a traditional jam because I'm not going to cook it. It just goes into the freezer, so you retain all that beautiful fresh berry flavor in this freezer jam recipe. I am using my food processor to blend this up, but if you want to have a chunkier freezer jam, it's really easy. You just do this in a large bowl instead of a food processor bowl and use a potato masher to mash your berries to the desired consistency that you like. I like it to be a little bit smoother, so I'm using the food processor like I usually do. And of course, I always taste things before I finish them up, and this is just so delicious. Huckleberries have so much wonderful flavor, and of course, lemon juice only complements the flavor. It doesn't overwhelm it, and a tiny bit of sugar sweetens it a little bit, but it really just tastes like fresh huckleberries by the spoonful. So it's so good on toast. In fact, my daughter went ahead and made toast just because I was making this freezer jam and enjoyed that for a snack today. One thing I love about this freezer jam is it lasts 2 years in your deep freezer. It'll last over a year in a regular freezer, but if you have a deep freezer or a chest freezer out in your garage, this freezer jam, you put it into freezer safe jars so that they won't break when they defrost or when they freeze. You leave about an inch of headspace at the top of each jar so that it leaves room for expansion. When it freezes, it will grow a little bit, but it will freeze for 2 years at least in your deep freezer. So all winter long, all year long, you will have this available. And I am putting some of this into a pint-sized jar, which, when everyone's home, we'll finish a whole pint-sized jar at one breakfast for pancakes. And then I am doing 2 of the 8-ounce jars, and all of these jars are freezer safe, but it definitely makes one of the best gifts you could ever give anyone for Christmas or the holidays. Okay, this Huckleberry Cobbler has been baking for about an hour, and it's nice and golden around the edges and on top. And I am serving this warm with vanilla ice cream on top. In fact, it's butter pecan ice cream on top. And it's just, if you have not had Huckleberry Cobbler, you've got to try it. It is so good. And of course, I will be linking that recipe in the description box below for you. So I have 2 bouquets of flowers in my kitchen right now, one from the farmer's market and one from our own garden. So I am just going to set my table with this cute little runner that I've got, and I am going to put my bouquet from the garden there and enjoy this view for about a week. I hope this inspires you to grow some of your own flowers. I really love having peonies, gladiolas. The zinnias are so easy to grow. And then, of course, the snapdragons. I did try dahlias this year. That didn't turn out, but I will definitely do the dahlias next year. But growing flowers is just so beautiful. Saves you so much money that if you would have bought it, it would have been so much more. And you can enjoy them for so much longer when you grow your own. Thank you for spending a little time with me today. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and we'll see you next time.